Imagine this. It's a crisp autumn afternoon in 1936, deep in the English countryside. Two professional photographers are setting up their bulky camera in the grand oak staircase of an ancient manor house, capturing shots for a glossy magazine. The light filters through the windows just right. Everything's quiet, almost too quiet. Suddenly, one of them freezes, his face going pale. "Look," he whispers urgently. There, on the stairs, a misty figure appears. A woman in a flowing brown dress, her face veiled like something out of a nightmare. The other snaps the photo without thinking, and when they develop it later, the image stares back at them, undeniable, chilling proof of a ghost. But is she real, or the cleverest hoax ever pulled? Stick with me, because this isn't just any snapshot. It's the story of the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall, a tale that's haunted people for centuries and might just make you question everything you think you know about the afterlife. Let's rewind the clock to understand how we got to that fateful photo. Our story begins in the early 1700s in the rolling hills of Norfolk, England, where Raynham Hall stands like a sentinel of old-world elegance. Built in the 1600s, this sprawling estate was home to the Townshend family, wealthy landowners with ties to the highest levels of British society. At the center of it all was Lady Dorothy Walpole, a woman whose life would become the stuff of legends and nightmares.
Dorothy was born in 1686, the sister of Robert Walpole, who would go on to become Britain's first Prime Minister. She grew up in a world of privilege, but her path took a dramatic turn when she fell in love with Charles Townshend, a dashing viscount known for his charm and his temper. They married in 1713, and for a while things seemed picture perfect. They had children, hosted lavish parties, and Raynham Hall buzzed with life. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Whispers started circulating in high society, rumors that Dorothy had been unfaithful, perhaps with a family friend or even someone closer to home. Charles, a man with a reputation for jealousy, couldn't let it go. What happened next is shrouded in mystery, the kind that keeps historians arguing to this day. Some say Charles locked Dorothy away in the hall, confining her to her rooms like a prisoner in her own home. Others whisper darker tales, that she was starved, or worse, pushed down those very oak stairs in a fit of rage. Officially, her death certificate in 1726 listed smallpox as the cause, a common killer back then. But the locals knew better. They talked of a broken spirit, a woman who died not just from illness, but from a broken heart and a life of isolation. She was buried quietly in the nearby village church, but her rest? That was anything but peaceful. Fast forward about a century, and the first eerie encounters begin. It was Christmas time in 1835, when the hall was filled with guests for the holidays. Colonel Loftus, a relative staying over, was heading to bed late one night when he spotted something on the staircase. A woman, dressed in an old-fashioned brown brocade gown, her face pale and ethereal, gliding silently down the steps. He froze, watching as she vanished into the shadows.
Shaken, he mentioned it the next morning, only to learn another guest had seen the exact same figure that very night. They described her perfectly. The brown dress, the veiled features, almost like a bride from another era. Word spread among the servants, who started quitting in droves, claiming the Brown Lady was wandering the halls, searching for something or someone. But the sightings didn't stop there. Just a year later, in 1836, Captain Frederick Marryat, a famous author and friend of the family, decided to investigate. Marryat was no stranger to adventure. He'd sailed the seas and written swashbuckling tales like Mr. Midshipman Easy. Skeptical but intrigued, he asked to stay in Dorothy's old bedroom, the one where she'd supposedly been confined. Armed with a pistol for protection, he waited. One moonlit night, as he walked the corridors with two young nephews, the brown lady appeared right in front of them. She was carrying a lantern, her eyes hollow sockets that seemed to stare right through him. In a panic, Marriott fired his gun point blank. The bullet? It passed straight through her and embedded in a door behind. The figure smiled faintly, or so he claimed, and disappeared. Marriott fled the hole the next day, vowing never to return. His account spread like wildfire, turning Raynham Hall into a place of whispered dread. Over the decades, more stories piled up. Servants reported hearing footsteps in empty rooms, doors slamming on their own, and cold spots that made your breath fog even in summer. One butler swore he saw her standing at the foot of his bed, her brown dress rustling as if caught in a breeze that wasn't there. The Townsend family tried to downplay it, but the legend grew. By the early 1900s, paranormal enthusiasts were buzzing about the Brown Lady, calling her one of England's most persistent spirits. Was she seeking revenge on her husband, or just longing for the life she lost? No one knew, but the hall's atmosphere grew heavier with each passing year.
Now, let's jump to that pivotal day in 1936. Country Life magazine, a high-end publication covering stately homes and gardens, sent photographers Captain Hubert Provand and his assistant Indra Shera to Raynham Hall. Their job was simple: capture the grandeur of the interior for an article. No ghost hunting involved, just architecture. They started with the main staircase, that magnificent oak structure twisting up through the heart of the house. Provand was under the camera's black cloth, adjusting the focus, while Shera held the flash. As they prepared for the shot, Shera glanced up and his blood ran cold. "Captain," he hissed, "there's a figure on the stairs, a transparent woman coming down toward us." Provand, focused on his work, dismissed it at first. "Nonsense, just keep steady." But Shera insisted, describing her in detail. The brown veil, the flowing gown, descending, step by step. Finally, Provand lifted the cloth, snapped the exposure, and only then looked up. By then she was gone. They developed the plate right there in the hall's makeshift darkroom, hearts pounding. And there it was, a faint, misty form on the stairs, exactly as Shera described. No tricks, no double exposure, they swore to it. The photo was published in Country Life that December, titled "The Brown Lady," and it exploded. Newspapers around the world picked it up, from London to New York. Experts examined it. No signs of tampering, no logical explanation. Even the Society for Psychical Research got involved, interviewing witnesses and combing the hall for clues. One group in the 1960s claimed to have photographed orbs of light on the same staircase. Even today, with modern tech like thermal cameras and EVP recorders, visitors to Raynham Hall, now a private residence, report uneasy feelings, as if someone's watching from the shadows. What really keeps the story alive, though, is the unanswered questions. Was the Brown Lady truly Dorothy, trapped by her tragic past? Or a collective hallucination fueled by rumors? The photo endures as one of the most famous pieces of ghostly evidence ever captured, analyzed by scientists and debunkers alike. Some say it's proof that echoes of our lives linger long after we're gone, especially when injustice is involved. Others chalk it up to the power of suggestion in an old, creaky house. And that brings us to the heart of it all. Stories like the Brown Lady remind us that history isn't just dates and facts. It's about the people who lived, loved, and sometimes suffered in ways we can barely imagine. Maybe the real lesson here is to cherish the connections we have in life, because unresolved pain has a way of echoing through time, whether in ghosts or in the stories we tell. If this tale gave you chills or made you think twice about that bump in the night, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most intriguing mysteries. Drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced something unexplained? Share your story. I read every one. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay curious out there.